Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are on chapter 5, Action in Krishna Consciousness, text 26. Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yatachetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme, in the very near future. In the very near future, Krishna is telling Arjuna, those who are free from anger and all material desires, those who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme, in the very near future. So of the saintly persons who are constantly engaged in striving towards salvation, one who is in Krishna consciousness is the best of all. So there are many transcendentalists who want to achieve perfection. Perfection means liberation. So there are many transcendentalists who want perfection. Then out of these transcendentalists, one who is in Krishna consciousness is the best of all. Now we may say, oh, we don't make comparison. It's not a matter of comparison. It is just a matter of, what do you say, of accepting the fact. No one has to go, well, it's not comparison. It's just accepting or just trying to understand that everything has a level. Even there are so many different levels in devotional service. As we said, neophyte devotees, madhyam devotees, uttam devotees. Then out of the devotees, who has more devotion? So it's not that anyone's bad, but it's just the degrees. And that's a fact. So Bhagavatam 4:20-39 confirms this fact as follows. Yata pada pankaja palasa velasa bhaktya karma shayam grathitam udgrathayanti shantaha tadvanna rikta matayo yatayo piruddha shroto ganastam aranam bhaja vasudevam. Just try to worship in devotional service Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even great sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged in transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, uprooting the deep-grown desire for fruitive activities. So Bhagavatam is telling us that just worship the Supreme Lord. Just try to become a devotee. Just try to become a devotee. Worship in devotional service Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? He's saying, Bhagavatam is saying that just by trying to become a devotee, what happens is there are many very deep-grown desires in our heart. The material desires are very deep. We can't even know how deep they are. They're really deep. So because the devotee is experiencing happiness in serving Krishna, he's experiencing transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, then these deep-grown desires get uprooted. But by following other processes, such as meditation, they're not able to control the force of senses as effectively. The senses are not controlled as effectively, as easily as one who's a pure devotee of the Lord. Pure devotee of the Lord, he has no material desires. He's just happy engaging in devotional service. But here, another transcendentalist, he's engaging, he's putting so much effort, not easy, taking lifetimes, yet the senses attract, yet the senses get bewildered. So, and example which is constantly given is that of Vishwamitra. He did devotional service, he did meditation for 60,000 years. 60,000 years is not a short time, it's a very long time. And yet when he heard the ankle bells of Menka, he got carried away. And he went off and had a daughter with her. And then we look at Haridas Thakur. He was just engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And when the prostitute came to him, 3 days she came to him. And he didn't get bewildered. Instead, she became a great Vaishnavi. And what to say only of this ordinary prostitute who was very beautiful. Maya Devi herself went to attract Haridas Thakur. But he was not at all bewildered by her, not attracted. He's just happily chanting Hare Krishna. He's saying, just happily chanting Hare Krishna. And Maya Devi asks Haridas Thakur, please you become my guru and initiate me into chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So this is the glory of devotional service. In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruitive results of work is so deep-rooted that it is very difficult, even for the great sages, to control such desires, despite great endeavors. So great sages, if it's difficult for them to control their senses because of these deep-rooted desires, what about us? We are Kali Yuga people, no qualification. We don't have qualification to sit in meditation for 60,000 years. So if it's difficult for a great sage who's sitting in meditation for 60,000 years, what about us? We have totally lost then. What's the hope? What's the hope? So that's the reason Lord Chaitanya said, you just chant Hare Krishna. And because he knows that just by chanting Hare Krishna under his order, we'll get the highest perfection. We can experience the highest bliss. Our material desires will be uprooted. It's gradually, everything will happen. Senses will be controlled. The material desires will go away. We will understand who we truly are. We will get perfection. A devotee of the Lord constantly engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, perfect in self-realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. So very quickly, if we want to get liberation quickly, that's the reason the path of bhakti is given to us. And the path of bhakti otherwise is very difficult. It's not an easy path. That's the reason not many people take to it. Not many people are able to take to the path of bhakti because it is very difficult. But by mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it's become easy. He's saying you simply hear and chant. He's saying that. Lord Chaitanya is saying, you chant the Hare Krishna mantra and you will get liberated. Owing to his complete knowledge in self-realization, he always remains in trance. So owing to his, so the devotee, it doesn't mean the devotee is, so this is a pure devotee. A pure devotee, he has complete knowledge of self-realization. He's a liberated soul. A pure devotee is a liberated soul. So that's why we are encouraged. Hey, become devotees, continue hearing and chanting. It's the easiest, fastest way to get liberated. And continue with devotional service. Don't just be happy that, okay, I got liberated. Continue with the devotional service because devotional service is so blissful, and that's the eternal activity of the soul. And then in this way, reestablish your relationship with God. Reestablish the relationship. Each of us has an eternal relationship with Krishna. To cite an analogous example of this, Darshana Dhyana Samsparsher Matsya Kurma Vihangamaha Swani Apatyani Pushnanti Tathaham Api Padmaja. By vision, by meditation, and by touch only do the fish, the tortoise, and the birds maintain their offspring. Similarly do I. Also, O Padmaja, by vision, by meditation, and by touch only, do the fish, the tortoise, and the birds maintain their offspring. Similarly do I also, O Padmaja. So, to cite an analogous example. So we are maintained by the Lord like this. We are being maintained by the Lord, not only in the material world, but also in the spiritual world. The fish brings up its offspring simply by looking at them. The tortoise brings up its offspring simply by meditation. The eggs of the tortoise are laid on land, and the tortoise meditates on the eggs while in the water. Similarly, the devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate himself to that abode simply by thinking of him constantly, by engagement in Krishna consciousness. He does not feel the pangs of material miseries. This state of life is called Brahma Nirvana, or the absence of material miseries due to being constantly immersed in the Supreme. So a pure devotee, his consciousness is in Krishna. He's constantly thinking about him. Constantly he's thinking about him. And so, of course, he is going to go back home, back to Godhead. He will go back to the spiritual world to be with Krishna. And while he's in this material world, he does not feel the miseries of the body. The miseries are due to the body. So, and he's already understood, he's already realized that I'm a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I'm an eternal soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So he's already achieved the state of life called Brahma Nirvana. Brahma Nirvana. And how does he do that? Simply by constantly remembering the Supreme Lord. By simply remembering the Supreme Lord constantly, he's come to this stage of Brahma Nirvana, liberated stage. No more material miseries. Simply how? By hearing about Krishna, by chanting his name and constantly remembering him. So we can see with the deep-rooted desires in our conditioned state, how we can come to the state of Brahma Nirvana, a stage of constantly immersed in the Supreme by hearing and chanting. Is that okay? Yeah. Can't hear you, Neha.
Here also they are stressing on the bhakti.
Here also stressing on bhakti. Yes. Constant.
Yeah, right? Constantly.
Yes. Yeah.
Bhakti the topmost.
Engagement. Yes. Because easiest way to control our deep-rooted desires, take out these deep-rooted desires. You know, that's the easiest and fastest way to take out this. We don't even understand how many desires and then are there in our heart and how deep they are. You know, we might think, yes, we are very liberated, but immediately we can, you know, go off. We are in the material world. We have so many material desires. And so how do we take them out? How? Constantly bhakti, constant hear and chant. And in that state, and then we'll get the highest perfection, because constantly remembering Krishna, then of course, consciousness is Krishna conscious. Then no need to be in the material world anymore. Go back home, back to Godhead. So we'll stop here for today.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for listening and joining. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.